Okay, it's me again. Okay. Okay, guys, I'm just setting myself up here and give me 1 minute. Let me know if you can hear me. Hello, Tiny. Okay. Let me know if you can hear me, guys. Please. That'd be great. I'm just, while people are coming in, just let me know if you can hear me. I'll get myself sorted out here. Ooh. Hi, Joran. Ooh. Hello, Patricia. How's it going? Excellent. Good, loud and clear. Hi, Greg. How's it? That's brilliant. Brilliant. Okay. I seriously need to get a better setup here. I really do. I should talk to my tech guys. Okay. Okay. Who was on the Facebook Live just now? Did you find it valuable? Interesting? Anybody on the Facebook Live right now? Cardboard box in Miller Street. What does that mean, Tiny? What does that even mean? Oh, so you missed most of it. Okay. Hi, Kevin. How's it? Okay, so we have our two of our coaches on with us tonight. So they will keep keeping me on track. Oh, okay, better setup. Okay. No, Tiny, you need to get my setup sorted out here. They will be keeping us on track. Joran and Kevin will be keeping me on track, and no doubt trying to keep me to time as well. We did have this earlier today as well. So the benefit of having actually two is I learn from mistakes I make earlier. All right.
A lot of learnings then.
There was only one. Only one. That said, are you ready this time for your piece of today?
I'm using your machine this time.
Oh, okay. All right.
So no, probably not.
Okay, cool. Okay, just let me prepare and close down and quit Skype. Sorry, guys, just give me a sec. Cool bananas. All right, let's get cracking then. Okay, so this is I wonder, should I go off video, Tiny? Because Larry was saying
Larry was saying when you're showing the charts, and you can just offset the charts and see how that works.
All right, I'll try that.
I mean, let's give that a try, because you know, sometimes people do like to see you to check if you're lying by the expression on your face and that sort of thing.
Cool. All right. If you can't see because the video is over it, just let me know, guys. Okay. Tiny will keep an eye on the chat. Again, Tiny, if you could just ask, is everyone on all panelists and attendees? Then you'll be able to see each other's chat if you're on all panelists and attendees.
Yeah. Greg, can you change to all panelists and attendees, please? And Patricia as well. So that's in your two, so that way everyone can see what you're saying and everyone can interact with each other. Thanks, Greg. Patricia, if you do it as well. Oh, done. Okay. Cool.
Cool bananas, excellent. Because one of the important parts of this, as I was saying earlier today, is the tribe is a very, very powerful, I don't know, group. Yeah, it's a really powerful group, and I think the majority of people, when we ask them when they've been with us for a while, what do they love most, and you'd be surprised how many people actually say the tribe. Not me, not Tiny, not the strategy, but the tribe, which is great. Which is, I suppose, why we call it the Tribe of Traders, which is actually great. It's a phenomenal support group. So before I go on, I want to ask, is there any questions from the induction? Has anyone not seen it? I'm not sure if the coaches have seen it yet, but the other guys, have you seen it? Have you got any questions? That's the first thing before I dive in. The second thing is, I'm going to reiterate, I said it in the induction, that what we do here, we are wealth facilitators. That's what we are. Okay, we have created an environment and software and programs and teaching, and we do webinars and Facebook Lives and with nuggets, and we have the group, and everything that we do and everything that we teach and everything that we share is essentially everything you need to be profitable and successful in trading. I know in my heart that everything that's available to you in the Tribe of Traders will and can take you to your target in 5 years. It's up to you to meet me halfway, to meet us halfway. Myself, Tiny, and the coaches. Meet us halfway. Be vocal. Take part. Shout, scream, demand. Everything. Actually, bleed it dry for everything that you need to achieve your result. It's your target. It's your wealth. It's your goal. Your vision. Everything is in the Tribe of Traders that you need to get there. Okay, the more I get to know you, the more I understand what drives you, the more I'll be able to understand the type of trades you take, and the more, and not just me, but the coaches as well, the more they'll understand where you're coming from, and the more they will be able to help you, the more I'll be able to help you. One of the things I'm really good at is understanding why you might be taking certain trades that might not be the best setups, because I very quickly pick up patterns, and I'm really good at that. And the more I get to know you, the more I'll be able to see that pattern and understand why it is that you're doing it. Okay, so got to be interactive. I insist that you're proactive in the webinars. You've got to ask questions, you've got to comment. If I say you understand that, please say yes. If you don't, say no, and I can go back over it. Okay, so you will get used to the various webinars that we do, how everyone chats and everyone asks questions, and it's very interactive. Okay, that's just the way we are. Okay, we're all on first name basis. We really get to know each other. And the most successful traders in the Tribe of Traders are those that actually take part in the tribe. They're proactive, they ask the questions, they learn from each other. Okay, so let's get on with it all. So this is a basic Pogo and Bugsy trading webinar. Okay. Okay, we're going to go through the basics of using Pogo and Bugsy, the 3 rules on each of the strategies. We're going to talk about Bugsy Pogo alerters, when not to trade Pogo. I'll talk a little bit about that. When a cycle is not a cycle, like for example 1-bar pullbacks. When not to trade Bugsy. We'll talk a bit about the incubator program, although I think we covered a lot of that on the induction. Finding your way around MT4 and the VPS, Tiny will talk to you about that, and the log files, and then we'll have Q&A. But what I actually do is, as I go on, I'll stop and answer questions as they come up, because we found that works best. Okay. So we're all coming from the premise that successful trading is not just about placing trades, it's about trading in a certain way, and that certain way is modeling the genius trading model. Okay. That is trading as a business. So everything you do around your trading, you're trading as a business. You're a money manager first, a trader second, and you master one strategy at a time. Pogo and Bugsy is like 1A and 1B because they're so similar with slight nuances that are different. Okay, so let's look at some charts, because this is going to be actually going to be a chart-focused webinar. But before we actually look at charts, no files, you'd be very funny. I want to do some sketches. Okay, let's see if this works. Hopefully it will. So I just want to do some sketches. So Pogo, Tiny, can you see that? Can't hear you?
Yes, I can. Yeah.
Okay, cool. So this is Pogo. So there's 3 rules for Pogo. There are 2 cycles. The 20 and 50 EMAs are in order, and price interacts with the 20. Okay, so let me just draw that. So you've got the 50 EMA, and you have the 20 EMA, and you have cycles. Okay, there's 2 cycles, there's the 2 EMAs. The EMAs need to be in the direction of the cycles, showing the trend. Now, the purpose behind the EMAs being in this crossing over, so in an uptrend, if you've got 2 cycles with high, higher high, and a low and a higher low, the EMAs actually need to be in the same order. So if it was a higher high, higher low, you expect the 20 to be above the 50, okay? The first cycle can be before the EMAs cross, okay? That's perfectly okay, as long as the second cycle is when the EMAs have crossed over. Something to be aware of as well is if the second cycle, let's redraw this. So there's the 50, the 20, and we've got one cycle, second cycle. If the second cycle comes and interacts around about here, where the 20 is just about to cross over, avoid it, because the EMAs don't lock into place until the bar is closed, right? So if you're looking at the 4 hour and the EMA and the bar is open, the EMA is going to be moving. So this will be shifting up and down, up and down. It might actually close below, the 20 might actually close below the 50, in which case, if you place Pogo on there, you're going to be in for a sell when you actually want to be in for a buy. So make sure you've got space between the 20 and the 50, okay? But we'll show you that as we unfold. So there's some basics in terms of what to expect trading Pogo. Just want to check. So I'm just going to raise this lot, and then I'll just do something else, show you something else before we move on to the charts. Oh, Bugsy. I want to show, okay, so I'm going to just focus on uptrends. It's identical for downtrends as well. So let's say this is when you would typically place, when you would actually typically place alerter, okay? People will place it at a couple of different times. So you've got one cycle, you've got the EMAs in order, you've got a higher low here, okay, there's one cycle, and prices come up. So anywhere here, anywhere from here, you can place the alerter onto your alerter terminal for Pogo. Some people wait until it breaks the previous high, okay? I'll be honest with you, for me, I will actually place it anywhere here. Okay, some people do wait until it makes a higher high, because then when it's made a higher high, 2 of the 3 rules are met, aren't they? You've got the EMAs in order, and you have a second cycle forming, okay, and all you're waiting for now is price to come back and interact with the 20. Does that make sense? So if price actually does make a higher high and then comes back and interacts with 20, that's when you're going to get your first alert. Okay, so you will get into a routine as to at what point in time you will place the alerter onto your alerter chart. I often sometimes do it here. Some of the other guys will only do it once it's actually made a higher high. Okay, what you're waiting for with the alerter, when it alerts up, it'll interact it will notify you when price interacts with the 20 EMA. That means the 3 rules are now met, right? You've got 2 cycles, you've got the EMAs in order, price interact with the 20. It will alert you if you've got phone notifications set up, which you should have. It will alert you on your phone, it will alert you on the terminal, and it can send you an email as well. That's the alert, that's the first alert. Nothing will then happen. That alerter will stay on your chart, and you don't do anything until you get the second alert. The second alert will tell you when the EMAs are in the same order on the 30-minute, which is your execution time frame. It will tell you when the EMAs are in the same order on the 30-minute as they are on the 4-hour. That's the time to place Pogo onto your 30-minute chart. Okay, does that make sense? Any questions on that? Just want to see if there are any questions so far. Nothing? Cool. Okay. So I just want to, is there a question? All good. Fantastic. Fantastic. Okay, so I just want to talk about what is a cycle. What is a cycle? Okay, so generally speaking, we like to, with Pogo, it's quite precise. You need a cycle. When I say a cycle, it's a phase one, a phase two, phase one, phase two. So this is obviously phase one, and that's a phase two. Okay, the phase two is always shorter than the phase one. That's a cycle. So that would be bars going like that. Okay. So what I look for in a cycle, some people have different names for it, but what I personally look for is if we're looking at a cycle in an uptrend, I want a high and I want 2 bars that break the low. Minimum. It can be more, and I don't like less. So I want minimum of 2 bars that break the low. Does that make sense? So you've got bars going up, can be any number, but a minimum of 2. You've got a high, and then bars coming down on the phase 2. There's your EMA. And I want 1, 2 that break the low of the bar that's the high. Does that make sense? That makes a cycle. You do not want this scenario where you've got the EMA there. That is just a 1 bar pullback. Could have been caught. That could have been a sentiment change. It could be news. It could be anything like that. That's what you want to avoid. You also want to avoid situations where you've got, for example, that. So, see what I'm saying? Where you've just got 1 bar either side of the cycle. Does that make sense? So, if there are questions. Coaches, if you think I need to explain something easier, because if you can let me know as well, that would be great. Okay. So that's a good sort of rule of thumb to have. It's a rule of thumb to have when you are looking for cycles, until you actually really get to know it, because you will get to know Pogo so well. Oops, I opened the wrong thing there, sorry. You'll get to know Pogo so well that you won't need to think, oh, is that a cycle? Is there enough bars that broken the low or broken the high and stuff like that? You won't need to worry about that. You will straight away see that sort of a scenario. There's another scenario that I want to talk about as well, actually, and I didn't talk about it this morning. Tanya, I need a new screen. This one's fuzzy. Okay. Okay. I didn't talk about it this morning, and this is a common mistake that people make. Hold on. So we will have. Let me think now. Going up, there's a high, and then you'd have that. That's not a cycle. Do you see that? See what I'm talking about there? That's not a cycle. That's going sideways, and that is something. Just because price has interacted with the 20 doesn't mean it's a cycle. That is something you want to look out for. It is not a cycle. You absolutely need that sort of effect. Does that make sense? That's going side, and I'll show you. It happened on pound Swiss, and some guys did trade it about 2 weeks ago. Okay, so that's Pogo. I just want to quickly talk about Bugsy. Bugsy is completely more fluid. It's less absolute than. It is far less absolute than Pogo, insofar as there's some poetic license as long as you have momentum. So the three rules for Bugsy is on the 4 hour, you need the 50, 20, and the 8 EMAs in the right order, in the same order, 50, 20, 8. You absolutely have to have momentum. That's a non-negotiable. And the momentum you will pick up and you will see with the pattern that the 8 EMA shows you. It's going straight down or straight up. That is momentum. That's the only indicator you need to figure out if there is momentum in the market. And then price needs to interact with the 8. When price interacts with the 8, actually, before I actually go on to there, let me actually draw. So you've got the 50, got the 20, and then you have the 8. Can everyone see that yellow? Yeah. So you can see that that is momentum here. It's not here,
cool.
is there, but you can see that from there is where the momentum is starting. Okay, so you've got price literally going like that, and then you've got an interaction with the 8. So as you see that momentum happening, you've got the 8, you've got the 50, 8, and 20. Sorry, my apologies. You've got the 50, 20, and the 8 in order, and you see that there's actually momentum coming in. You can put Bugsy Alerter onto the 4 hour. And then that Bugsy Alerter will stay on until there's a price interaction with the 8. When you get that notification, unlike Pogo, when you get the 8, the interaction with the 8, that's the first one. You wait for the second one. And unlike Pogo, this one is going to tell you when price on the 15-minute, because you're executing on the 15-minute with Bugsy, price has pulled the 8 in the opposite direction of the 20 than it is on the 4 hour. Remember, on Pogo, the second notification is when the 20 and the 50 are on the same order as the 4 hour. With Bugsy, you're only putting Bugsy on the chart when the 8 and 20 are on the opposite direction on the 15-minute than they are on the 4 hour. And the reason for that is often when you've got like significant momentum and it interacts with the 8, often that momentum is not enough to pull the 8 below the 20 in an uptrend. But we want to make sure that it has think about it like this. And you're an archer with a bow and arrow. He pulls back the string with the arrow in it. That's what it is. That's exactly that. That is the mind. That's how I view Bugsy. It perfectly depicts Bugsy in that you're pulling back the string. I don't know what you call it. I'm sure there's a better name for it than string.
It's called a bowstring.
Bowstring. Thanks. You're pulling back the bowstring. You've got the arrow in, and that's what that momentum of pulling back the string is the 8 crossing the 20 on the 15-minute to the opposite direction than the 4 hour, and then you let it go. As you let it go, it flings out, and that's when momentum just takes the trade and runs. Okay, so what Bugsy then is waiting for on the 15-minute, once you load it on, because the 8 and 20 is in the opposite direction of the 4 hour, once you load it on, it's waiting for the 8 and 20 to come back into the same order as on the 4 hour, price to interact with the 8, and it will execute, and off it goes. The 50 means nothing on the 15-minute. It doesn't matter. There's no place for any consideration of the 50 on the 15-minute. Only the 8 and only the 20. On the 4 hour, however, they need to be in order. Okay. The price action for Bugsy and Pogo are quite different. Okay, so I'm just going to quickly, before we actually get on to the charts, it's quite different. And I think one of the things you would be wise to ask yourself would be, is this like Pogo movement or is it Bugsy movement? So there we've got the ATMA, and we have price going like that. So it's going straight up. Here we have, say, the 20 EMA, and we actually have cycles. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the difference. You're not looking for the cycles. If if you're getting like a Pogo-esque type of look and feel on Bugsy, it's not Bugsy. If you're getting just momentum, it's Bugsy. See the difference? They're quite different, but they're very much the same. And you will see on the charts now when I show you in a few minutes that how you can actually integrate the two in one trend movement. Because Bugsy was created, actually, it was Kevin actually asked a question about over a year ago. Don't we have anything that we can actually get in when the trend's running? Because you will see sometimes the trend just runs and we can't get in until, for several days because it's just been going and it hasn't created a cycle back to the 20. And that's how it was. That's how I came up with it. That's how I created it. It was to take advantage of those runs. And when you marry the two together on a trend, on a run, it's absolutely fantastic. Like, for example, in May so far on Euro AUD, with Pogo and Bugsy together, you could be 16% up. Easily, you could be 16% up. On Kiwi Swiss, Pogo and Bugsy, 7% up. But then again, on Pound Swiss, which you will get to know is one of my favorite, trends beautifully. It was 15%, but that's all Bugsy. And you'll hear me say this over and over again. One of my favorite way to trade is I stalk an instrument. So if an instrument is trending and it's momentoing, if that's a word, I will stalk it. And normally, 9 times out of 10, I'm reaching my target based on just 2 instruments, maybe occasionally 3, but no more than that. That is generally, sometimes even just one instrument, because I've been in the rhythm with it. I've pogoed it, I've bugsied it, I've pogoed it, bugsied it. See what I'm saying? And that saves you so much time in trading, takes so much stress out of trading. You're in the flow, and you're bleeding it dry. So it really does. It really is an amazing, in my opinion, it's an amazing way to trade. Okay. So Patricia, currently my first Bugsy trade hit 1-to-1. Second trade still running pound dollars. If there's a time, could you look and see if it was a good trade? I'll do that. Yes. Kevin, would you like to explain the importance of the angle of the EMAs on the 4-hour? Illustrate momentum. Yes, I will show that for sure, Kevin. Yep. But the more sort of like upwards and straight it is, the better, or the more downwards and straight it is. If you're seeing it going sort of all over the place, if it's like, let me just draw it here. If it's sort of going sort of wiggly, you don't want to really be in it. That's not momentum. That is momentum, straight up, down type of look. But let's go to charts and have a look at some charts, shall we? Okay. Now, I haven't looked at charts since this morning. All right. Okay. InstList. Is everybody comfortable with InstList, or should I go through InstList?
Do you just go through it quickly for completeness?
Okay. All right. Okay. So InstList. Let me see. This is my alerter terminal. Okay. So I'm just going to remove it. So I'm going to close. No, I don't want to close it. I'm going to. Sorry. Okay. I just don't want to close that because that I've got them marked. So let me close. This is my trading terminal. So let me close these charts. Okay, so I've got a clear terminal. Okay. I only need to open one chart. It doesn't matter what chart it is in order for me to load InstList. I just need to open the right chart though. I've got an Infinox account and it's an ECN. The suffix that I need to use, the instrument suffix, is with the plus sign. So for me, it'd be Forex plus. So I just open any chart. Doesn't matter which one. It defaulted to open on the 4-hour. And what I do is I go to indicators, and I go to ins list version 2, and I just drag it on like that. Okay, just drag it on like you would an indicator, any indicator. Okay, obviously you've got, this one is defaulted to plus, so it's defaulted to the ECN suffix that I need to trade for my Infinox. If you don't have a suffix, you just take that out. If you've got something else, you just put in whatever it is, and you click OK. Okay, so that's ins list now on my chart. I love Market Watch. Okay, and I drag that on as well, just to have it. Now this number 1 is like, you can put it in any corner. That number 1, it goes on the top right. If I put that at number 2, which is where I personally like it, it goes on the bottom left. Okay, so you can put it any corner you want. So the Market Watch is just basically gives you the daily percentage change in price and the weekly, so week to date percentage change.
Otherwise known as Market Change version 2.
Market Change. Did I say Market Watch?
Yeah, that's the old name.
Market Change. Okay, cool. Sorry about that. Good. When did that change? I didn't know that changed.
Someone badgered me to change it before I released it.
Okay.
Can't remember what her name was.
Oh, that was me, wasn't it?
Yep.
Sorry. Yes, it was. Okay. All right. So how you use ins list is, now that it's on your chart, you just use the up and down arrow key. First, you have to click onto the actual chart. You click onto the chart. So you're no longer, your cursor's no longer here on the indicator. You click onto the chart. Using your up and down arrow key on your keyboard, you can see up the top here, as I flick through them, it's changing instruments. Okay, so I'm going to go to the top. The very first one, when I keep pushing the up arrow, is AUD USD. This currently is in the order in which I do my watch list. Okay, so it starts with Aussie dollar, goes through the majors, goes through euros, goes through pounds and yen pairs, and then the Aussie and Kiwi crosses. That's the way it is. Now, Tiny will release at some point in time an ins list that you can select what you want in your order, and in what order you want, what instruments you want in your ins list, and in what order. But for the time being, you're stuck with what I do. All right, so you just like basically using the down arrow now, you're flicking through. This saves you having to open all the charts on MT4. It's a really, really cool piece of tool software. Okay, it's lovely. Then if you want to change time frame, you just use your left and right key arrow on your keyboard. So if I change it, you only can get the 15-minute and the 30-minute, the 4-hour and the daily. Okay, we've got the 15-minute because we trade the 15-minute with both. You got the 30-minute because we trade 30-minute with Pogo. You got the 4-hour because that's the time frame we're trading. And the only reason we have the daily is just because we never look at it. Never look at it. Okay, big tiny.
I could remove it if you want.
Yeah, probably. It's worth it. I probably will. Should move it. I think there was one guy that was.
Yeah, he's a particularly unpleasant chap.
So that's ins list, okay? It's really good. So if I'm using ins list, now I'm going to go back to my alerter terminal. I'm using ins list. Let me have I got anything? I'm just going to close this. I'm using ins list. I've only got one chart open on my alerter. And as I'm going through, so I'm just going to head back up onto the AUD USD. As I'm doing my watch list, so I'm going through my watch list, I'm scrolling down and I see, oh, there's cable. Yes, I think I'll put alerter on it. I won't. I'm just using it as an example. This is like not what you want to be getting into right now. Okay, so but let's say I'm saying I want to put alerter onto pound Oz. So what I would do then is go File, New Chart, go to the correct suffix that I require for my trading, and then I open pound Oz. You can see now a new chart is opened next to my ins list chart, and then I'm going to load Pogo Alerter onto that. Sorry, I don't need to do that. I'm going to load Pogo Alerter onto that chart. So what I do then is I go to my expert advisors, click on it and drag it on just like I would InstaList. The first time you drag it on, it will open like that. And if you want to check the inputs, that's how it will look. Therefore, you've got it set to true, that it will notify you on your terminal. You can set it to false if you want, but it's defaulted to true, and get notifications on your MT4 app and get email alerts as well if you wish. And you just click OK. That Pogo Alerter will stay on your chart until the first alert has alarmed you and the second alert has alerted you. Okay, and then on the second alert, it will remove itself. And then I go back. This is how I do my watch list. And then I go back to my InstaList chart and I continue along my way until I get to the next one. I say USD yen. I'd open a new chart. I might, if I'm being very basic, guys, I apologize. I just want to make sure that everybody can see what it, and understand in the flow of what I'm doing. You can see now I've opened another chart, USD yen. And I'm going to, so let's say I'm going to say just for most, I want to put Bugsy on this one. So I just drag Bugsy on. The settings are identical. Just click OK. Now, it's very possible and very feasible that you could end up having 15, 18 charts open in your alerter. Okay, you could, that does happen. Ask the coaches. It can happen. You can have a whole host of instruments that look like they're setting up for a Pogo and a Bugsy, in that they've met a couple of the first two rules. We're just waiting for the third one. So you could actually have a whole host of them actually, and you might also have, 2 cables, 2 USD yens, 2 Aussie dollars, and so on, because you could easily have a potential Pogo and a potential Bugsy at the same time. And here, this one is USD yen. And it's told me that price has interacted with the 8. And it's also told me as well, simultaneously, that the price, the EMAs, the 8 and 20 on the 15-minute are in opposite order. This is not a Bugsy setup, though. I just did it to show you how to actually load it. The one thing I would actually suggest that you do is each day, I go to each morning, 6 o'clock or thereabouts, I am in front of my chart and I'm going through my InstaList, going through it using my InstaList, and as I'm finding what I'm putting Pogo on, Bugsy on, or the alerters for Bugsy and Pogo on, I'm making notes of it. Then I've gone through it all. I then go back and I open up the charts. If I've already got it open from the previous day, that's fine. But anything that's not on my watch list for that day, and I have alerter on it, on my alerter terminal, I will remove it and close the chart. So let's say now tomorrow I come here and cable is no longer on my watch list, but I have Pogo alerter still on it. I remove it. So just click anywhere on the chart, just double click anywhere in the chart, expert advisors, remove, and then I close the chart. Otherwise, your alerter terminal will just get so messy. And if you have lots, you just push that tile. See that tile there? That makes a big difference. You can then see all the charts at once. It opens up. And then if you just want to have one open at a time, you just click on the maximize icon and you're back just showing one. Okay, any questions on the alerters at this point? While I take some water. Tiny, I can't see the questions for some reason not coming out. Oh, there it is. Tiny, I can't hear you. You sound off.
Okay, no, there's no questions at this stage.
Okay. All right. What next? Let's go back and look at what we've got set up.
Quick question. So
Yep.
what does market change do?
Market change just tells you how much the price has moved in the day and in the week. So see here, percentage weekly change. It's minus 0.14%. So Kiwi dollar has gone down in value by minus 0.14% since it opened at 10 o'clock last night, or on the open of the session, okay, open of the day. The percentage daily change, so that's the weekly change. Sorry, that's the weekly. So that's since Sunday night. This one, 0.14% has gone down for the week so far. And then you get the percentage daily change at 0.03% in the day. That's all it is. And the reason why I like it, because if I'm looking at getting into a trade and it's already, the move in that day has already gone to like 0.8, 0.9 or 1% or thereabouts to the downside or the upside, and I'm looking to go into the upside, and it's already moved 0.8, 0.9 or 1% in the day, do I want to be getting in at that point in time? My answer is no, because people will be wanting to take profit. You know, when you've got that much of a move or momentum in a day, it doesn't really go much beyond there before people start taking profit. So I might well get pipped into a trade only to get taken out as people are taking profits. Does that make sense? That's why I like it. That's the only reason I like to know it gives me an idea of where the money's going as well. Okay. All right. So here we've got, let's have a look at some Pogo setups. Okay. Let's use this tool that Larry, there we go. That's actually quite cool, Tanya. I never used that before. I like to delineate my month so I can, at one glance, see what the month has been going so far. And you can see there's been some nice momentum on Kiwi dollar, where we've had one cycle and a second cycle. Okay, now this bar here, you can see that was a significant news bar. You can tell by the astronomical size of it that it was a significant news bar. The thing with news bars, generally speaking, is that price will come back to where it started and continue on its merry way the way it was going. So in terms of when I'm looking at trading Pogo, anything like that, I'm just going to ignore. I'm just going to take it as it went to there, ignore the big wick here. Does that make sense? So that's why that's the second cycle for me. So we've got the one cycle and we have a second cycle. And then often as well, what happens, you'll see here that you've got this bar here, this like high test here that interacted with the 20 EMA. Okay, just to be clear, I'm talking about Pogo now. So when I'm talking about Pogo, you don't need to worry about the 8, okay? This caused some confusion earlier today. You do not need to worry about the 8. We're talking about Pogo right now.
Jude, do you maybe want to turn the 8 off, just like temporarily, yeah?
Okay, but they all have the 8, Tiny, so...
Yeah, I suppose, yeah.
Yeah, so...
Okay, I'll leave it.
Yeah, so...
And while I'm talking, Kevin, it's going to cost you a lot of Ferrero Rochers, mate.
Okay, so you'll see here, that's when you would have got your first alert. But you see price actually continued up to the phase 2 continued to interact with the 50. And that's okay, that's perfectly okay. As long as it's still trending, as long as it still hasn't broken trend, that is fine, okay? That is absolutely fine. So you would wait then till you get the second alert, and then you would place Pogo on the 30-minute. And there it went off again. And you have actually a cycle here. You can see if that bar is lower than that bar, that's actually a cycle. And then a cycle, another one. See that? At the moment, right now, what we have is nothing on the chart. Absolutely nothing. Actually, there, you've got one cycle right there to the upside. and you've got the 8 and 20. But here is an example. Let's say for argument's sake, oh no, wrong one. If we were to, let's say we were, is that a cycle? See this one here, is that a cycle? Let me know in the chat box if that is a cycle. Who was listening and who was looking at my pretty drawings? Is that a cycle? And coaches, I'm not talking to you guys. My chat box not opening up. No, it's not. Greg, I tell you why it's not a cycle. It's because it's all inside that bar. I would have wanted another high here. It's all inside that bar. So it's not technically a cycle. Does that make sense? But let's say for argument's sake, for what I want to show you now, it's a cycle. And then we come back up here. And we come back down to here. And let's say price interacts here. Okay. You do not want to be putting pogo on like that, because that bar is still open. If that bar heads to the south, goes down to the downside any much further, it's going to pull the 20 down underneath. And if the EMAs are, if the 20 is below the 50 on the 30-minute when you place the pogo, and this bar closes and pulls the 20 below, you're going to be in for a short. And you might not want to be in for a short because you're thinking it might be, for you, according to your rules, it might be going to the upside. Does that make sense? So right now, that is not something that you would even consider looking at. Okay, that, you just take one look at that and you jump quickly as you can, get out of it. The one biggest problem is that, that people have a challenge with, and this is why it's very important to ask yourself this one question when you're going to the chart. People have a challenge with not curve fitting a trend-based strategy into a ranging market. Okay, so the first thing you need to ask yourself when you look at a chart is, what is the market type? Is it bullish? Is it bearish? Is it ranging? And if it's bullish and bearish but trending, great, wonderful, trade away. Bugsy and Pogo are both trend-based strategies. But if it's ranging, stay away. If you're in doubt, stay away. Okay, the one guy actually said it this morning, and we have one of our guys, McLean, in the tribe, who you'll all get to know, awesome guy. What he says is, how he describes Pogo is that it needs to have a staircase. It needs to look like a staircase. The cycles need to look like a staircase. And funny enough, one of the guys on the webinar earlier today, he said the very same thing as well. So in terms of USD Swiss, there's absolutely nothing there that I would be interested in for Pogo. I just wanted to go back and see. Okay, so here I want to show you some nice staircase activity actually from USD Swiss last month. So you can see, there's a cycle, and there's another cycle, but it broke trend, didn't it? It created a low, but the EMAs are not in order, and it's going sideways. You see, sometimes you can almost fool yourself into thinking that there are cycles, and there can be cycles, but it's within a range. So that's why you've got to be mindful. Is it trending? Just because you might have mini cycles, but they're in a range, just like that is. Okay, but that doesn't matter anyway, because you wouldn't be trading that, because it's not trending to the downside. It hasn't made up its mind if it's going up yet. Of course, you can't see all this when you're here. Okay, but then you get the EMAs to cross over, and you look at, there's a cycle. There's a cycle. That's where you're going to place Pogo the first time. Then there's a cycle. And you can see from here, there's no more Pogos to trade all the way up there. And that's why Bugsy came into being. There's all of that you couldn't trade until up there. This was the last one. And then that was the next Pogo setup. So that's just the staircase type scenario is what you're looking for with Pogo. let's have a look here. You've got some staircasing going on here with Euro AUD. Right now, of course, the same. There's a lot going. There is absolutely nothing in the market I can trade. There's nothing. There's nothing. I mean, of all the days we have a Pogo and Bugsy 101, it has to be today when there's just nothing in the market. I mean, all the big runs are they're petering out, and is massive profit taking, as well as coming up to the end of the month as well. So here we've got nice cyclicity here and there. Now, I don't trade gaps. Okay, so if there's a gap, 90% of the times price will come back and close that gap and then continue on its way. But just one of my rules, I don't trade gaps for Pogo and Bugsy. But let's say that was not there, but I think some people did actually trade that, because it came back, respected the 50, the gap was closed, came back, respected the 50, and then they got in up here. And there, you'll get to know the nuances like that with Pogo going forward. Let's have a look at this one. Did that interact? Yes, it did. So again, this one is a very marginal call. You see that one there, that cycle. Is it a cycle? Is it not a cycle? Because there's only one bar that breaks the low of the high. You've got those two inside bars and only one. So technically speaking, right now, I want you to rather stick to the type of cycles that I've been speaking about, where you've got at least two bars that break the low of the high. Okay.
Jude, sorry, your video is blocking the recent price action.
My video?
No. What I'm going to say is, I'm just telling you why I'm stopping you. Jerry, you can move your screen. You can move Judy's face off to wherever it suits you. I've got her face currently at the left-hand side of my screen. Okay.
Okay. Cool. Okay, let's see if we can look at other examples. What? Are you being rude? Is that Kevin being rude?
That's Kevin being rude.
Oh, why did I know that? I can't even see the questions, and I just knew that.
No, he's just like that. He's just evil.
Yeah, and I suppose anything to do with you?
Nothing.
No. Okay, so here we had, so you see this lovely big run here on Euro GBP. We only had one opportunity in that whole run to trade Pogo. You see they've got a high, and you've got a low that broke that, and you've got another low that broke. So you've got two lows that broke the low of that high. Okay. No, it depends on how you actually see cycles. You could say that broke the low of that cycle, and it did. Okay, but it's definitely trending to the upside. Again, this is one of those wee tweaks that you will come across over time. I want to go to, let me go to Euro AUD. Oh yeah, I was there already. Let me go to NZD. There was a lot of gaps in the market, so it's hard to, okay, here we go. So here we have, okay, so here's an example. Let's say this price here interacted with the 20s. Let's say, for argument's sake, price interacted with the 20. We have price trending down. You've got a low, there's the low, and then it went sideways. And imagine if it interacted with the 20, that's not a cycle. Remember, that's the example I showed you a few minutes ago. So the way in which you do this cycle is it goes down to there. That is not a cycle. That is just sideways momentum. That's just consolidation. Now, that would be a cycle. And then that would be a cycle. Then you'd have price coming back up here. Oh, wrong one. Are you getting the gist of this, guys? Is that a lower low? Yeah. So that would be another cycle. But then you've got this coming back up here, and it broke the high. Okay, so it broke the high. So, but it still respected the 50 EMA. But technically, it actually broke the high, so it broke trend. So you might not want to, you wouldn't be getting into that. Okay, as you get more experience, you can tweak this sort of thing. But right now, not. Okay, it's that if it stayed at the 20 and continued to the downside, that's when it would have been another pogo trade. Does that make sense? Let me have a look. Entity Swiss. Oh, we've got this nice momentum. So there you've got a cycle, but there you've got a lower low, right? So let's have a look at here. You've got nice trend here. You've got, this is USD Singapore. So you've got that cycle. With that. You could see it. Oh yes, this is another thing I want to say, and this is very, very important. We all see patterns differently. Some of us will see the same cycles, the same patterns. Others will not see it at all. I will look at something and you will say, absolutely no ways is that a cycle, or absolutely no ways is that trending, whatever. We're all going to see things differently. It's just like looking at the Mona Lisa, we'll all have a different experience. You know, I will see her one way, you will see her a different way. And it's the same with cyclicity and on how we see pogo setups. We never all agree on what is a setup and what's not a setup. The important thing, though, is that you remain consistent on what it is that you see, because there are more than enough setups in a month for you to take just enough from the market on the setups that you spot. Does that make sense? So you can see here these two cycles. They're almost identical, isn't it? It's like, it's so marginal. Do you want to be trading that? Is that not, if you're like coming here, remember that's all you're seeing. That's not trending any longer. Just look at the EMAs as well. They're not going up, they're not going down, because that's what trend is. The EMAs tell a story. The EMAs always leave clues, and as well for Bugsy as well. So the question is, do you actually want to be trading that? Now let's assume that it hasn't gapped. You're not going to be trading gaps. But you see what I'm saying? Is that now starting to range? That's the question that you're going to be asking yourself. Is it trending? Is it ranging? I look at that, I'm saying, yeah, there's a couple of cycles there, but it looks like it's ranging. I'm staying out. Does that make sense? Don't try and curve fit a trending strategy into a ranging market. Then you have got like this little cycle. You got a little cycle here, which then breaks trend as well, actually, because it's a lower high. Does do a higher low though. But so now we're watching to see what happens. We don't do anything with that. We just simply observe it, and then it makes a higher high. And as it's going, now you like, as it's going up to here, momentuming upside, you're now putting pogo alerter on. Okay, you're putting pogo alerter on. Then you're going to go, you're waiting for price to come back to the 20 and it interacts back here. So you take a look at the chart to see if you're interested in trading it. And what would your answer be to trade this one? When you got the alert that price interacted here, it's created a higher high. You've got the EMAs in order. It is trending to the upside. Is that what you would trade? Any ideas? Any ideas? I can't, my thing's not coming up.
Okay, Patricia says no, and everyone else is keeping still.
It's ranging. Yeah, it's ranging. It's consolidating. It's not a cycle. Even though it did go off, I mean, that's fine. It did go off to the upside. So you can see that this, although it created a lovely staircase, it wasn't ideal at any point for pogo. Okay. It was just rather messy. but that's the sort of what we're looking for. I have to say that this month has given way more opportunities for Bugsy than for Pogo. So here we've got, let's say, look at this. We've got that cycle there. This is NZD-CAD. This is last month. There's a good example of a phase 1 with some consolidation and a phase 2. Then we had another phase 1 and a phase 2. See that? And some messing around there, but you might have been in this trade and then still took off to the downside after it finished messing around. And you could, and then it comes down to here and it breaks trend, creates a higher high, higher low. It breaks trend. So now you're waiting for another cycle, it to repeat, for it to come to maintain, to go back into a Pogo setup. Okay. So what I want to show you now is I want to show you how to actually put Pogo onto the chart. Okay. So when I get an alert, I got my first alert, I get my second alert, I go and check the chart, make sure that it is a cycle, it's a phase 2, and I'm still happy. It's not just consolidation, it's not a 1-bar pullback or anything like that, that it is a cycle. And then I get my second alert. I go to my trading terminal, and with Pogo, we place it on the 30-minute, and then I drag it onto the chart. Just the same as Inslit, just the same as the alerter. Okay. We are going to have a webinar in a few weeks' time, which is Pogo and Bugsy 201, okay, or 202, whichever. Okay, and that is the webinar that I'm going to introduce some finer details, because you will have been used to it. You'll have been able to ask me some questions, and it won't be overloading with information. And I'll show you some little tweaks you can make. And one of them is I'm going to show you how to scale in, okay? Right now, I'm going to keep it out, okay? Max spread is 50 points, and that is 5 pips. There's 10 points and 1 pip, okay? You can change that, but do not change it up. Only change it down. We defaulted at 5 pips. You do not want to be entering into a Pogo or Bugsy trade greater than 5 pips. And stays active once you place Pogo or Bugsy onto your chart, stays active for 240 minutes or 4 hours. You can make that bigger. In the Asian market, sometimes we in the UK, in the Asian market, when we go to bed, we see a nice setup, we will actually change it to 480 minutes for it to be on overnight. If there is no significant news overnight, that is, of course. This is also good if your rules are that you do not trade 2 hours before news, and you see you've been alerted, your second alert now, and you want to see if you can get into the trade in the next 2 hours, you can actually make that 120, which means it will stay on your chart for 2 hours. And if it executes a trade, great, you're the proud owner of a trade. If it doesn't, and you've still met your rules in that it would have executed 2 hours before news, and if it doesn't execute, it just simply removes itself after 2 hours, okay? The risk percentage refers to per trade. We know now that Pogo or Bugsy places 2 trades simultaneously. The first one is a 1-to-1, the second one is a 2-to-1, with both with 30 pip stop loss. So each one of those 2 trades is a 1% risk. That's what it's defaulted to. So that means your risk on the table per instance of Pogo or Bugsy is 2%. You can actually change that to whatever it is you'd like, 0.5. You can make it 0.05, you know, whatever it is you make. Do not go over 1% per trade, okay? And then you've got the 30 pip stop loss, 30 pip take profit, and on the second trade, you've got the 60 pip, so a 2-to-1 on the second trade. Here you can actually select false and not take the second trade, but this has been tested and back tested and reviewed, and it works for taking the 2 trades. Use break-even stop that means when your first trade hits 1-to-1 and your money is banked, the stop loss moves to break even for your second trade. So you've got no more risk on the table. You can change that to false if you like, but again, it's being tested, and this is much better. Okay, it's also good because you can get into other trades now as well. You've locked in your, you've got no risk on the table, so it's really good. The lock profit is set at 5 pips. You can change that if you want. That 5 pips means that your stop loss will just go 5 pips into the take profit area for your second trade, locking in profit. So should price come back up and take you out at break even, if in case you have any slippage or spread widens, it stops you going into the red. Okay, Tiny, do you want to just explain this spread beta? You did it better than me earlier.
Could I have that in writing?
No.
All right, guys, spread beta. If you can imagine, you've got your take profit, say it is 30 pips away from your entry price. You've got your 2 price lines, you're asking your bid. The minute the first line crosses your take profit, normally you would have to wait until your second line crosses your take profit to close the trade out. Spread beta is like a sort of a sneaky little bugger. So the minute the first line crosses your take profit, it starts trying to close out the trade. So basically what happens is you get a winning trade. You obviously will not have a full 1-to-1 on that because it will close it out earlier than expected. So you might lose a pip or a couple of points, depending when the broker can fill the order. But what it does is it avoids price going all the way up to your take profit, hovering around, kissing it, flapping about, and then coming down and taking you out. So it's designed to actually close that trade the minute the price hits that take profit or just above it. Now, one thing to bear in mind, at that point, it's not a full 1-to-1, so do not expect trade 2 to move to break even, okay? Because trade 2 will only move to break even when it gets to 1-to-1, and the price might never ever get to 1-to-1 if it retreats at that point. Most of the times, it takes a couple of seconds as the price goes up, and then the break even will break on the second trade. Does that make sense?
It's great.
It's just sort of thumbing your nose at the institutions, really.
Yeah. And earlier on, we had a couple of guys saying, "Oh my gosh, that's amazing," because that constantly happens to them. So it's really good. Jerry, just seeing your question here. When you suddenly get a higher high, so in other words, if you have pogo, I'm assuming what you mean is when you have pogo on, and once you've got pogo on, it breaks trend. Do you take it off? The beauty is that it'll break you'll know it'll break trend on the 4-hour. So in order for it to break trend, you have to actually remove in order for it to break, by the time it's broken trend, pogo would not have executed, and it will have removed itself. Because if it's gone to a deeper phase 2 and it's broken trend, it means that you would not have been in the trade. Potentially, you might be, and it's retraced up and you get taken out. That's the one scenario. But if you're not in the trade and the price is retraced to a deeper phase 2 and it's broken trend, by the time you come to replace it, you will have checked the chart and you will have seen it, and therefore you won't have put pogo back on. Because remember, it only stays on for 4 hours. And often with pogo, you will need to put pogo on 2, maybe 3 times before it executes. Sometimes it's just 1, but sometimes it's 2 or 3 times before it actually executes. And each time you're putting it on, you're just double checking the chart to make sure that you're still happy that price hasn't broken trend or you're still happy to be in it, all right? And it's not close to significant news or anything like that. Does that make sense? Hopefully that answers your question.
I just want to clarify, Patricia. Patricia, when spread beta happens, that means the trade closes. So essentially the price moves just above your take profit, but there's still a spread line below your take profit. But spread beta starts closing the trade or tries to close the trade as quickly as possible when your first price line goes over it. Okay, so your first trade gets closed slightly before 1-to-1. Okay, and what I was saying, then the second trade, which is still open, the price hasn't yet got to 1-to-1, so the break even won't move immediately until the price gets to 1-to-1, which may be, sort of like a couple of points or a pip later. Does that make sense? Okay, cool.
Fab. So the rest here is show the screen, show timer on the screen. I'll show you that now. You can move the timer anywhere around the chart you want, and use notifications to mobile set to true. That's the MT4 app. Okay. So if I click OK on that, what we will see is Pogo up here. You'll see there's a happy face. He's a happy chappy. If he's got an unhappy face, he's got a sad face, most likely your auto trading is turned off. This will be red. It must be turned on. Okay. So, I need a license.
Oh, you should speak to the right people.
It worked for me earlier today.
Let's try it again.
It
could just be the network.
It could be, yeah. If you do get that, guys, occasionally it happens. Just put it on again. Just might be a glitch in the network. So let's see what happened, because it worked for me earlier. It always works for me when I'm testing it. So at the moment, what it will be doing is checking my license. My love.
I told you not to pee me off.
That's crazy. Try it again.
Just check that your nothing's changed on your terminal. Go look at tools, options, expert advisors. Tools.
I'm going there. I'm trying to think, did I do anything with this today since the last?
Expert advisor.
That is weird.
That is well strange.
Ha.
Crazy.
Let me see if I can get Bugsy on. Just give me a second.
Just answer a question while you're doing that. Yeah, market change. Kev, your question is, how is market change? How is it that market change EA is not removed when Bugsy or Pogo are placed in the charts? That's because market change and Instalist are indicators. So you can have multiple indicators on a chart and an EA. Judy does owe me for that license. But you can only have one EA on at a time on a chart. That's the same terminal you're using this morning?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Try another one.
Sorry, guys. This did not happen this morning.
No, this looks wrong.
Oh, that's not going to work either, is it?
Yeah, just let me see something.
I think Tiny's got my licenses, guys. Oh, no, it's not. Maybe the suffix is wrong. It's not.
No, let's go through the suffix. I'm just checking if my terminal is working.
So maybe if I stop my screen share, you can do yours.
Just give me 1 sec. I would have messed my terminal is in.
Okay, guys, any questions in the meantime? Can you go on quiet? Oh, this is very funny. Very funny. Thanks, Kevin, for that. There must be a reason for it. Yeah, there is a reason for it. There is. I don't know what it is right now, though. That is very weird. These things.
Okay, Jude's it's working on mine, so I don't know. Let's have a look at your thumb and see what you've done. But yeah, so if you want to stop sharing, I can just show them dragging Pogo on. You can talk through it if you'd like.
No, I'm going to go on silent.
Oh, that'll be a pleasure.
Are you going to do it?
Oh, you never know. Just. Come on, there we go. Okay. All right, so basically you just go and on your Pogo, no, mine all over the shop. I'm just going to leave. This is a demo account here. You would just grab the Pogo and drag it on. That's okay. This what happens. This is something I planned to do. I'm very clever. All right. So if you drag the second executor onto a chart, as Kevin was asking earlier, it will say, "Do you want to stop the one that's on?" And I'm going to say yes. You see the common inputs. You see about. You go to common. You see this button here, allow live trading. That basically is on by default because your auto trading up at the top here is on. Okay, that's the master. If that was red, this would be off. Okay. Inputs, Judy went through all the inputs and we just say, okay. The first thing Pogo then does, it checks if you have a license. You can see it has a license. Judy has been behaving rather badly, so she doesn't. Okay. It then will start checking your data and your chart. So it actually checks the data is up to date on the 4-hour chart as well as on this chart. And it says all data is up to date. Happy days, happy trading. And Pogo expires in 3 hours, 59:35. So basically that means now Pogo is loaded and it's going to sit there and it's going to monitor the charts until the right things are in place for it to place trades. Is there anything you want me to do?
That's fine. Thanks, Tiny. So you can stop sharing.
Okay.
Thanks. Guys, I'm sorry about that. I don't know why that happened, but it could, because we do so much different testing and stuff on our charts, anything could have happened. But it'll be interesting to find out what happened. Okay, so that's how you place Pogo on. I'm going to quickly, we're low on time. Okay, so I want to talk about Bugsy. Remember what I said about momentum and Bugsy. The 8 EMA will absolutely tell you when there's momentum. You see this movement here? It's definitely going to the downside, but it's definitely not Bugsy territory. You see here, there's momentum. That's Bugsy territory. Can you see the difference? So I'm going to go to my good old favorite. If we go to the alerted terminal, where I've got it marked out, you see here NZD Swiss. You can see like that's, you know, these are like, this is a bit messy, but there you can see the EMA is going straight down. The 8 EMA is going straight. I just want to go to pound Swiss. We had some beautiful examples of so you can see here, you've got the 50, the 20, and the 8. You can see how smooth that line is to the downside. And when you think about it, sorry, this helicopter's flying about outside. I hope it's not disturbing you guys. If you think about it, here you've got the apex up here. You've got one cycle, and you've got a cycle. That's the first cycle. But the next cycle you've got after that is like down here, and you've got, hold on. Now, if I'm talking about, if we're looking at this from a Pogo perspective, and then you've got there. So you've like all that momentum you've lost, and that's why we came up with Bugsy. Does that make sense? So here you've got, all we're looking for is the 50, 20, and the 8 to be in order, and then to be momentum. And you need nothing more than looking at the 8 to show you if there's momentum. We do not need cycles. Do not need cycles for Bugsy. Okay, I'm just going to move these lines out of the way. You just need momentum. So here would be the first setup. This could also be another setup for Bugsy. If you were already in that, you might not get into that because it might not have actually reached 1-to-1. But if you missed that one, you could get this one. And there's another Bugsy. See what I'm saying? Let's have a look at here again, pound CAD. You've got the 50, 20, and the 8, and it's dropping down quite clearly. So you've got like those options there of getting into Bugsy. Patricia, you said pound. Oh, pound Oz, pound Oz. What do you think? Is this what you said, Patricia? Pound Oz, is that right?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Pound Oz. Not my favorite at all. Patricia, can you see why? If you compare that to pound CAD there, see, it's just so much more clean, isn't it? Do you see the difference? And there's pound Swiss. You know, they're like there's more rhythm. That's to me that's chaos. Yes, yes. Technically, it's fine. It is going to the downside. It really is. I understand that. What you're saying. We had actually Kiwi dollar was very much like that throughout the May so far as well, where almost every bar was off the 8. In this case for Bugsy, and almost every bar I think on Kiwi dollar was either off the 8 or the 20, all the way down. And to me, I don't know why. I just avoid that. I just don't get that sort of momentum for me personally. This might well, looking at it now from here, the next time it interacts with the 8, if it keeps on this pattern here, then I will start being interested in it. But up here, it's not right for me at all. If you compare it to that, and you compare it sort of a little bit to that, it's not perfect. What else have we got? Compare it to that. Do you see what I'm saying? Does that make sense? Does that make sense, Patricia? I can see what you're seeing. Let's put it that way. Absolutely see what you're seeing. But for me, I like it to be much cleaner, like much more solid downward momentum. Yeah, I suppose I don't want every single bar to be off the 8, because then, yeah, in a sense, that's another, you could put it that way. Yeah. Joran and Kevin, do you think I've explained there's lovely momentum there as well? See, that's what you're looking for. That's picture perfect. Do you think I've explained Bugsy okay from your experience? Do you think I've nailed it? What do you think? I'm not getting the...
Well, you got 1 yes anyway.
All right, is Kevin sulking now? All right, okay. Okay. Excellent, cool bananas. All right, so I think I'm going to leave it there. I think you've got a lot of information. I'm going to hand over to Tiny. You're going to come in here, Tiny, are you?
I'll just try it from here, seeing as your machine doesn't seem to be working.
Okay. What are there any questions on actual loading Bugsy, loading Bugsy, Pogo, alerters, what you're looking for in Pogo and what you're looking for in Bugsy? Guys, can you let me know if you've got any questions in that regard at all? Excellent. Thank you, Patricia. Anybody else? Anyone else? Just want to see if there's anything else. Okay, yes, I have left out one thing. What to avoid in Bugsy. When is a Bugsy not a Bugsy? A Bugsy stops becoming a Bugsy when price interacts with the 8. 20, price interacts with the 20. Okay, so let's have a look here if we can find a good example. Okay, here. So here we've got momentum to the downside, that the EMA is in the order. You've got this interaction here, okay? But then it came and interacted with the 20 EMA. When it interacts with the 20 EMA, it's no longer a Bugsy. If it has interacted with the 20 EMA and you're coming back to your chart to see if you should replace Bugsy again, then it has interacted with the 20, then you take it out, take it off, okay? And then it might well be a pogo setup. 9 times out of 10, it will be a pogo setup. Most of the time, if you're getting in on the right setups for Bugsy, most of the time, if you lose a Bugsy, most of the time it's setting up for a pogo. Do not be afraid to take the pogo. Make sure that you have enough control of your mindset and no fear attached to make sure that if you do get a loss, say on Kiwi Yen, but it's set up perfectly for a pogo setup, take the pogo setup, because you will make up your loss and probably more as well potentially. Okay, so don't let that influence your decision as to whether you take. If it's a valid pogo, you take the valid pogo. It meets all your rules, take it. Okay, if you've taken the right Bugsy, 9 times out of 10, what it'll happen is if it loses, it's because it's setting up for a pogo. The other quirk with Bugsy is that when your Bugsy trade executes, it does spend a little bit of time in the red. Just one of those things. So that you'll get used to. It hovers around in the red. Don't worry about it. You shouldn't be looking at it. You shouldn't be watching it. But just letting you know, that's normal. That happens before it actually goes off to profit. Okay, so the Bugsy is no longer a Bugsy the moment prices interacts with the 8. If you're in the trade and price interacts with the 20, it's quite possible that you will stay in the trade, that it won't have taken you out, and you could well then go and get your 1-to-1 and 2-to-1. Okay, that could happen that as well. The other interesting thing that actually happens sometimes is, let's say for example, let's say this was a Bugsy setup, and I've taken that. This has happened to me a couple of times. I've taken that, and I've got into it. It's given me a 1-to-1. The stop loss has moved on the second trade to break even, but I got taken out on the break even on the second trade because prices retraced to the 20 for a pogo setup. And then I've got into a pogo and I've got my 1-to-1 and 2-to-1. So out of that one move, I've actually managed to get 4%. That sometimes happens as well. So as you get more and more adept at using pogo and Bugsy, you will be creative with it. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely beautiful together. Okay. If there's no other questions, I'm going to hand over to you, Tiny.
Thanks, Jude. I have no time. It's now 8:30, so I have 0 seconds to explain. So, if, guys, I'm going to be as quick as I can. I'm just going to go through some basics on the VPS itself. So I'm going to start sharing. If you have any particular questions, please whack them into the question box. Okay, so this is going to be really basic. If you guys have purchased the Tribe of Traders VPS, the VPS comes loaded with 3 terminals. One terminal, I'm not going to show you mine, I can show you mine, it's just absolute chaos. Yeah, so you can see I've got a few terminals, so it's just a bit of chaos. Okay, but yours should come with 3 terminals. The one terminal is a demo terminal, which is where you would actually place your pogos and your Bugsy demos while you're learning the strategies. Okay, so that terminal is defaulted to 30 minutes. The 30-minute chart opens when you open it. And when you start learning pogo, when you move on to Bugsy, you'll just need to have a Bugsy template, which you just set to 15 minutes and you pull Bugsy onto that. So really that's your learning terminal. The second terminal is the alerter terminal, which you need to log in with the live account. Alerters do not place trades, so there's no risk of any impact, even while you are training in the demo environment. But the alerters work on live terminals. So you would log into your live terminal, your live account on your alerter terminal. Then the third terminal is your executor terminal, which is where you would actually execute Pogo and Bugsy. And that's the same live account as the actual alerter terminal. Now, you can have a fourth one. That's not a problem. And basically, then you can split out Pogo and Bugsy if you wish to do that. The actual VPS that comes with the Tribe of Traders VPS is more than powerful enough to handle it. But when we first started initially, we just said, look, let's put 3 terminals on, see how we get going. Okay, so that's a bit on the terminals. I think there was a question. No? Okay. All right, so that's the terminals. Another question people ask us, why VPS? We use the VPSs because it actually divorces it from your PC. It's got great connectivity to the broker. It's always on. It doesn't get turned off and go to sleep. And EAs need to be on all the time. So really, that's why we do it. And you can access it from anywhere, from your phone, from your laptop, from your PC, from your friend's PC, from an internet cafe. So it's really, really handy. Okay. Okay. A couple of things you need to know. Now, most of you guys probably know this already. Okay. But your licenses are licensed to an account. Okay. And then the licenses are created on a licensed server. So what you need to have under tools, options, you need to have under expert advisors, the allow web request for listed URL clicked on, and you need to have http://www.tinyandjudy.com/ exactly like that. So when the EA opens up, you'll see that it says needs a license, and then it comes back and says it has a valid license. It searches three times. It'll try to ping the server to find your license. If it doesn't, it'll give you you need a license. When that happens, normally just pull it back on, unless you've been bad like Judy. It will work. Okay. If you change accounts, that's not a problem, but you do need to let me know that you've changed accounts so I can move your license. So basically, you need to send a ticket or an email to support@tribeoftraders.servicecamp.com. I will then move your license, and then all you need to do is log into your new account. Okay, so that's that. Notifications. Again, Judy did talk about this, but you need to have a MetaTrader 4 app on your phone. And what you do is you go into that, you go to settings, messages and chats, and the MetaQuotes ID is at the bottom of the screen. That is my MetaQuotes ID. You come into notifications, you enable push notifications and stick in your MetaQuotes ID, and then obviously that will then notify you. Very important, in your alerter terminal, do not click this one on. Okay. This top one allows alerters to send you alerts. It allows Pogo to send you its alerts that when it's been removed. This one here will send you trade transactions. So if you're using an alerter terminal on the same live account as you would be as your executor terminal, you'll start getting doubled ups of notifications. So every time an alert comes through, it'll come through twice, which is not what you want. So don't set that on your alerter terminal. You only put that on your executor terminal. Also, there's another reason apart from the irritation factor. MT4 has limits on how many notifications you can send within various timeframes. And what will happen is it doesn't tell you anything. It'll just stop sending the notifications. And then when I dig in the log files, I'll find a couple of errors which indicate that. The way to get around that is to just literally reboot your terminal. Okay. All right, so that's notifications and licenses. Again, on the FX VM machines, you have an auto restart, which is in the document that I sent out to you. So basically what you want to do is you want to have your terminals that you need open at the bottom of your screen. You go into Windows Explorer, you go to the C drive, and you run this command here, startup adder. Double click on that, and it asks you to say yes. I'm not going to run it now, but essentially it'll show you this. You just type in yes. That will then run and generate this file, the startup command. You copy that, and you paste that into startup. Okay, so that means when your VPS restarts, it will actually open up all the terminals that you wanted to have open. Okay, some basic housekeeping on the terminal on the VPS. It's a Windows server, and Windows love it or dislike it or hate it. Does have Windows updates, and the way you check those, it'll actually put up a bar across your screen occasionally to say that there's an update. And I strongly urge you and will recommend that you only do this when the market is closed. So you go into the 4 white blocks, which is the window icon, control panel, Windows updates, and this will tell you if you have updates. I've been well behaved and I just did mine over the weekend. But literally you would come in here and it'll tell you you've got XYZ number of updates, and just click to update it. And generally speaking, it requires a restart, which then takes me nicely into my next topic, how to restart your VPS. MT4 has got a very, well, not peculiar, it is how it is. MT4, what it does, and when you close your terminal down, it actually writes out a config file. That config file is what allows your terminal to open up with all of the charts in it as they were when you shut down. So I just want you to think about that for a second. So if you have 10 charts open and you've got 3 or 4 pogos on different symbols, and you happen to close down your terminal, that is what's written into the config file. So you might have pogo on 4 different charts, and that the last time you did that might have been 2 weeks ago. In between, you've taken pogo off and you've closed everything down, you've closed your charts, etc., but you've not restarted your terminal. The next thing you do is you go here and you say restart VPS, which is how you restart your VPS. When that happens, it happens so fast, it doesn't give any of the terminals time to close down cleanly. So your VPS restarts, and then basically it comes back up, and then it opens up all the terminals. When it opens those terminals, it looks for the last clean config file. So the last one it managed to write out. And if that happens to be one from 2 or 3 weeks ago, which had pogos on the charts, it'll open those charts again. And now suddenly you've got 3 pogos on charts that you had no intention of putting them on. And they can, and they do, take trades. I've had, sorry?
That are not necessarily valid.
Yeah, that are not necessarily valid, that you didn't intend putting on. And if this happens, it's not because Pogo miraculously jumped onto your charts. It's because you didn't do your housework correctly or your maintenance. I've actually had a guy who, in the middle of the day, I still don't understand the reason, he just decided to restart his VPS in the middle of a trading day. And then he started calling me in a panic. He had, you just can remember, was it 6 or 7 Pogos? 6 or 7 Pogos had fired.
Quite a lot.
He had 14 trades open that he hadn't intended on. It's not a good thing on a live account. So basically the way to avoid that, and I'm going to show you this quickly, is in the terminals that you normally run trades, you come in, you right click, go expert advisors, remove. I'm taking this Pogo off, but generally speaking, you wouldn't have it there, but you make sure you remove any expert advisors, close any open charts. At that point, you go File, Exit. It then closes down cleanly and writes out a clean config. So now if I restart my terminal, it's actually going to be a clean start. I hope I can find the right.
Yeah, so that means that once you've done what Tiny's just done, there's no way that a Pogo will load when the terminal, or about to say.
Okay, so guys, to avoid that, only ever restart your VPS over a weekend. And once you have restarted it, don't just restart it on a Saturday morning and then go on it on a Sunday night after the market is opened. wait a few minutes, it literally takes 2 minutes, and log back in and just make sure that everything is as you would expect. That's just good housekeeping. And again, do not restart your terminal, your VPS, in the middle of the market being open. Okay, Windows update, same closing, restart. Yeah, okay, I'm just going to do one more thing, Jude, which is the, excuse me, the log files. Is there anything else that you have that I need to do?
Did you go through, when you have Pogo on, you can't close the chart, you can just minimize the chart?
No, I didn't. Okay. All right, guys, so basically, inside your terminal, whichever account you've got open, that is your link to the broker. Okay, so that's the account that Pogo is working on, and that's your link to the broker. All right, in my case, it's, oops, wasn't very bright. Try that again. It's 889457. Okay, so that's the account I'm linked to the broker with. So any trades will be placed on that account. But Pogo needs chart to be working on. So you need to have a chart open, and then you need to stick Pogo onto that. Okay, or Bugsy. Now you stick it on, say okay. Now it stands to reason that Pogo needs to be on a chart, and a chart needs to be connected to your broker via your account. So you cannot go and close your chart now, because then Pogo doesn't have a chart to be on, so you've lost it. And if you close your terminal by using the big red X, there's no connection to the broker anyway. I know this sounds very basic, but I have people who've done this. They've gone and loaded up 10 Pogos and then gone and closed their terminal. You need to have your terminal open. But you can, however, shut down your VPS in terms of close your connection, your remote desktop connection, which is on the blue bar here, which I can't seem to get at the moment. But you can actually close that down, because remember, the remote desktop is simply a window that's opening to the VPS. So you can shut down your remote desktop and everything continues as it was on your VPS. Okay. All right. So are there any questions, Judy? Is everyone pretty clear with this?
No question.
Cool. All right. Okay. So the last thing I want to chat about, unless there's any questions in a couple of minutes, are the log files. Everything that happens on your terminal, where every time you shut it down and open it up, it writes into what's called the journal. So you see it here in the bottom of your screen. I'm just going to remove it. Control T removes your terminal window. Control T returns it. Or you can go View Terminal. And that will take it away. View Terminal brings it back. Okay. So trade is where your trades that have just been placed open. Account history are where your dead trades go to live. If you don't see anything in it, of course, this is probably a all history, and we'll show you if there's any trades in that. There we go. All right, so that's where your closed trades go to live. You can see I've got comments open, and that shows if it is a Bugsy or Pogo order. Okay, so trade and account history. Then journal is everything that happens on your terminal, and literally by reading this file, you can see what happened. So this build started today at 2041, and it goes through all of the bits and pieces. Okay, that also tells me if you're having a problem with connectivity or if there's a problem elsewhere. So when I ask for log files, or if you have a problem, I'm going to need the journal log file. Quick way to get to it is you click on journal, click inside it, you right click and say open. The files are named for the date. So if you just go date modified, the most recent one comes at the top. You right click on it, copy it, take it away, paste it onto your PC. And then I need the second log file, which is the expert log file. Now this one's got a lot more data in about the execution of the EAs. And it's the same thing. You just go to experts, right click, open, and you copy the relevant log file. Same thing, you copy it, paste it onto your PC, and then email it to support@tribeoftraders.servicecamp.com. Now, just on that, if you place it Pogo at 11 o'clock at night and it executes at 2 o'clock in the morning, as it often does, and then you've got a question about that, I will need the log files from the previous day, so yesterday and today. So I'll need 4 log files from you, so I can check what happened from when you placed it until Pogo actually took the trade. So that's log files. I think that covers everything, Judy.
Yep, I think so. Anyone got any questions, guys? If not, we will have a follow-up webinar in a few weeks' time, and we'll go through like the finer details as well, and answer any questions. You'll have a lot more experience. You can go through actual setups that you've taken and stuff like that. So, so this was like a good all-rounder, and I strongly would suggest you stay on demo for a few weeks, please. Because it's very, very important to be very confident and very certain about your trading. Remember, you're a money manager first. So in light of that, that's why I want you to be on demo first. Get very comfortable with it, get very confident with it, and then move on to onto live. Because I say you need to be able to throw it around like an old bicycle, so it doesn't cause you any stress whatsoever. Because stress is the death knell to successful trading. So set yourself up for success, get used to it, throw it around, use and abuse it, and then go on to live. And in a few weeks, we'll have a follow-up webinar, answer all your questions, and go into scaling in. We'll go into Trade Manager and all of that as well. Okay. Guys, is there any questions? Did you find, well, first of all, did you find that useful? Was that useful? Did you learn a lot? Great. Excellent. That's great, Patricia. Anybody else? Come, chaps. There's more. Anyone else? Anyone else want to offer anything? Thank you, Kevin. Thank you, Kevin. But you guys will be seeing Kevin and Euron a lot. Euron, sorry, a lot in the incubator, and you'll see Gemma as well. So that's excellent. Awesome. Okay, so I'm going to assume that nobody has any questions. Thanks, Greg. I'm going to assume nobody else has any questions. This recording will be in your product, uploaded into product area as well, and as was this morning's recording as well. Coaches, you're getting your own members area where everything will be loaded up. I think Tanya was talking to you about that earlier today.
Yeah, I'm going to have the beta version of that up in a couple of minutes.
Cool, excellent. All right, guys. Thank you so much for coming. We didn't overrun too badly. It's Tiny's fault. He was in the overrun time, not me.
Yes, dear.
All right, guys. Use the incubator. Okay, please use the incubator. Okay, if you're in the, hopefully you're in the incubator. If you're not, let me know. You know, take part in the watch list. We're there to help you. We give you everything you need. Okay, take care. All the best wherever you are. Have a great day or a great evening. Bye-bye.
Cheers, guys.